Okay, everybody, how is it going out there today? 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins here, and we are looking at tropical, well, almost did it, Tropical Depression 7 right now, right? But looks like it's going to become Tropical Storm Fiona, at least within the next 24 hours, if not sooner. It kind of started to ramp up just a little bit out there for today. Not a threat for Florida or the United States at this particular time. It's 2,000 plus miles away. The Caribbean islands certainly want to keep an eye on it, especially the northern islands like Anguilla, Antigua, Saint Martin, those areas, especially by Friday night, right? Right now it looks like to be more rain and wind than anything else, but I do think certainly it'll be rolling through there Friday into Friday night, Saturday towards Puerto Rico, Sunday towards Hispaniola, and then eventually it will turn potentially up towards the Bahamas by the time we get to Monday of next week. So off the top, that's what we're talking about now. We're also going to talk about the forecast models on this, where it's going to go potentially, and we'll look at some rain closer to home. We do actually, you can see there where Tampa is, we've got quite a bit of rain in the area right now. So let's get started with that, and let's just kind of move in here. I want to show you where it's at now. You can see it's still east of the islands there, but we've got a good little spin coming around here. Kind of tough. It looks like the model's trying to show some winds here, but I think the center is actually up underneath this. And we're losing the daylight here, but you can see a spin kind of right in this. Well, I don't want to zoom in too much right there. Let me show you this. You can see a spin right in this area in here. Little one here, but I think there's one right underneath here. So there is a little bit of shear that's coming in on this. It's actually mainly up to the north, but it is blowing off in that direction that way, and you can kind of see some of those clouds blowing that direction. But look, it's able to maintain. That has not been an issue. Here's the track. They started issuing advisories on this by about 11 a.m. this morning. And what you need to notice with this is that we're really, Tropical Storm Fiona, yeah, by tomorrow morning, certainly. And kind of keeps that through Friday morning as it approaches the Windward Islands. But look, 45-mile-per-hour winds. Saturday morning, the islands really don't do much to knock it down, right? So Saturday morning, still at 45, but those islands of Puerto Rico, they're going to try and mess with it. Forecast says still Sunday morning we're talking 45-mile-per-hour winds, but then the Dominican Republic has got taller mountains, and that knocks it down to about 35-mile-per-hour winds by Monday morning. So this upcoming weekend looks fine for the United States as far as mainland is concerned. Turks and Caicos, you're going to be watching it towards the end of the upcoming weekend. That's the forecast from the Hurricane Center. Here are the forecast models, and they're starting to change a little bit. First off, almost every model brings it due west, right? And then they start to recurve it. Some recurve it like the GFS here. Some get over the Turks and Caicos and recurve it. Some keep it weak and fall apart and go further west, right? So still a lot to be seen for this one. The ensemble models of the GFS, this is the GFS model itself, run a bunch of different times. You can see the curves there, but that's a pretty good split. If you look at all the runs that are over here kind of losing it versus the runs that are recurving it, I think more of them are actually starting to recurve it than anything else. So that's good news. And the European model, by the way, the ensemble looks very, very similar. This is a look right now at the GFS or the European model. Very weak system. I mean, look at this. It kind of has it down here. I think this is just kind of in between, but it has over Puerto Rico in this area by Saturday. Then watch what happens. It slows down, puts the brakes on, and look at that. Kind of starts to turn through the southern Bahamas coming north. I mean, it was down here, and it turns and comes north by Wednesday. That's a week from today. And then watch what it does. It tries to recurve. Then it runs into this high pressure system here. And so it kind of does one of these things where it ends up doing, comes down here, it comes like this, and then it'll kind of go like this. That's so far out in time, right? The real concern is going to be right in this area right in here in the Bahamas. Excuse me, in the Caribbean Islands, the Northern Islands, right? Because that's what we know is it's going to get at least some weather out of this. Now, this is the GFS model. Very similar. It has something there. It kind of has it a little bit further to the south. And then you get towards Monday. It's tough to see, but it's this right here, okay? And then notice as we go through, watch that. See that right there? That's Wednesday, a week from today. This is the GFS model now. And you see it tries to come up and out. It runs into the tail end of this high pressure system. So it tries to come up, it slows, maybe jogs a little to the west, and then it'll probably curl around back behind that. This is as far out as the model goes. That's next Saturday. That's a week and a half out. Yeah, it's too far out in hurricane time to buy on that. Now, here's what's in its path. So what I've overlaid here is the forecast track from the Hurricane Center and wind shear. So this is going to be a little tough of a road to go, and that's why the forecast basically calls for 45-mile-per-hour winds, right? That's not a lot of wind. It's just a tropical storm. Now let's take a look as we get out into Sunday, into Monday morning. Here it is, right? Look at this wind shear on it. Not a lot out here, but look what's happening over Florida, North Florida. You see all this wind coming out of the north? If it makes it to here, it looks like the wind shear wants to lighten up a little bit, but watch this. Let's go out to Wednesday, almost Tuesday night, Wednesday, almost a week away. It would be somewhere in here if this is correct, right? If that's correct, the storm would then be somewhere in here, and look at all of that shear coming in out of the south and the west. Guys, that is not a good environment for hurricanes, for tropical storms, for whatever. It would shear almost all the rain and storms off to the north and east of the center. And then I'm going to go out even further, and if you follow what the GFS was saying, remember it had something coming up here and then going like this and then back out. Oh, that whole area is under a ton of shear at that point. So just looking at this alone, I know that track you see there at the bottom, that's the latest 5-day from the Hurricane Center. I know that looks like, whoa, we need to keep an eye on this, and we do, but I'm not overly concerned about what this is when it gets in here, okay? Because there's a lot of shear there. Now look, there's some warm water there. Don't get me wrong. Let me put a track here to show you. It's right in here, and it's going to come right across these northern islands where the water is warmer than average, right? 3 degrees above average, 2 degrees at least. So that's good. That's plenty of water to work with, plenty of warm water to work with. That's the point I'm trying to get at here. All right, now let's get over. I want to take you to. Let me see if this thing's working. Let me just kind of poke around here, trying something. There we go. Okay, so I'm starting to see some of these. Fort Pierce. Hi, Esma. Thanks for sharing. I'm seeing all these people here. Thanks for saying hello, everybody. Chiming in. If you have questions, I'll look for that. Bottom line is, here is where we're talking this area right in here, right? I don't think it's a major issue. Let me go back over and show you some forecast models here. Hopefully this is going to pan out. Right, there you go. So basically, this is what we call the European model for probabilities of a tropical depression. Clearly, we have tropical depression right here, right? Let me run this out in time. Let's go out to next Saturday. So this just kind of covers the whole week and a half, right? You see the European, it says, yeah, in this area here, but then it loses it in here. It's like, what? Where's it going to go? The odds of having a tropical depression in this area of the Bahamas are very low. Here are the odds of having a tropical storm. Much greater out here, but even at that, they're a lot smaller, right? Much greater chance of having a tropical storm here in the Windward Islands, right? So that's the European. Here's the GFS forecast, same exact setup, right? Here's the chances, the probability for a tropical depression. And you can see it's pretty clearly just going right out over there, right? Let's look at tropical storm chances. Let's look at hurricane chances. It thinks maybe it tightens up a little bit as it comes to the north, right? Remember, it kind of stalls and starts to go off to the north. But nothing towards, really at that point, towards land. So I just kind of show you the tropical depression because that's the minimal, right? That's the minimum chances of it having something. Let's talk the forecast models that have just come out. You can see a lot of them starting to curve. That is a good trend, right? The trend is your friend, and that is a great trend for us. These are the Ensemble models for the GFS. I kind of showed you another version of this earlier, but you see all these models turning. Yes, a few are out here coming around to the west, but even if this happens, look, I mean, a lot of them are right over Hispaniola, then over Cuba. That'll shred this thing up for the most part, and it's not going to be anything when it gets there anyway. So this is a good sign for us as well, too. Now, these are the Ensemble models for the European, and you see it still hasn't figured it out quite yet, right? It's still trying to figure out. It does have some lower pressures here, the darker red lines that you see here. It even has a pretty decent one that's moving into the Gulf of Mexico. None of this right now for Florida looks to be too much of a threat. Something to keep in mind. But again, most of this looks to be on the weak side. And speaking of intensity, here's the last one I'll leave you with. This is the Tropical Depression Intensity Guidance for number 7, right? And look down here. Most of it is down here, okay? You see all that down there? Just to get to a Category 1 hurricane, there's no, well, the WRF always does crazy stuff, but all the other models just aren't seeing that. So regardless of what it is, it looks like it will stay weak. It is not, to me, a major issue at this particular time. So are we going to watch it? Absolutely, we're going to watch it. That's what we do, right? But I just don't think that it's a major issue. Tim in Lake Wales, how are you? Citrus County, Shannon, how are you doing? Looking pretty good out there. All right, well, let's go back over. Let's see who's on my YouTube page. Bobby Deskins Weather is my YouTube page. I like to show that as well, too. And we'll get to ones that are online. There we go. All right, so let's go real fast while I got you here, and let's talk local rain, because we actually have some pretty decent rain out there right now, for inland locations at least. We had some showers and thunderstorm activity earlier. I'll bring this up here for you, but we're not seeing a whole lot right now. I wanted to bring this up because I do think we're going to see a little bit more rain develop this afternoon. I do think some of it's going to be heavy at times. You can see what's happening in inland locations right now. Look at this heavy rain down in Highlands County. Okay, this area, we're changing the pattern. So we don't have a whole bunch of rain just kind of moving through the area. It's kind of just stagnant and now starting to actually drift and build back towards the coast. So that means some of these areas here in Highlands County, especially up towards Sebring and down to Lake Placid, we've seen rain for a while and it's going to continue. But then the heavier stuff will start to build in this area and continue to build its way back towards the west as we go through this evening hour. So let me show you the, let me show you this. This is crazy. You want some cooler, dry air? Man, oh man, dew point was 50 earlier in Panama City, just about the same in Tallahassee, 50 in Tallahassee, just about the same in Panama City. The moisture's moved back in there. So a brief cold front for those folks up north. Here's the forecast model locally for tonight, talking about that rain. You can see it's inland now, but let's go out through about 5 o'clock. You see it starting to build back to the west. Now watch this. You see that? Between 5 and 9 o'clock, look how much of this builds back towards the coast. That's I-75 right there. And then after that, we'll go back a little bit later. You kind of miss it if you blink. But it does bring the storms back towards the coast. Okay? Now tomorrow, because today was the transition day, we had that rain along the coast, it leaked on shore. Right, tomorrow is going to be a more of that easterly flow pattern. We've had a west flow for a while. Today we're in the middle. We flipped it up. We started out of the west in the morning. Those storms coming back to the coast tonight, that's the beginning of that east wind. Tomorrow with that east wind starting in the morning, we don't have much rain offshore. Very few. But then as we go through the afternoon hours, 1 or 2 pop up, and then look what happens. It comes back to the coast again. This model's not showing a whole lot. We will see a little bit more than what this model is showing. So we're going about a 70 to 80% chance for afternoon showers and storms for tomorrow. So that's it, guys. Let me check your questions just real fast. Don't forget, if you've gotten this long to watch my YouTube page, Bobby Deskins Weather. Go ahead and subscribe and like that and comment. I'll answer questions that you may have there. As far as going right now, let's see what we got. Going to the Dominican Republic Monday for a week. All right, so this Monday is when the rain will be in the Dominican Republic. Don't think it's an issue for you. Who's this? Monica. Don't think it's a big deal. It's not going to be the best day in the Dominican Republic. Might have some flight issues for Monday. That's the one thing I'd be worried about. Once you get there Monday night into Tuesday, or I hope it wouldn't get pushed back to Tuesday, but once you get there, I think you're looking fine. There is another wave that's possibly developing behind it. It looks like if it does develop, it may want to go south of there. So that would be a good thing to know there. Anybody else? I think that's it. Anybody over on YouTube? I think that's it as well, too. Okay, guys, that's it. Getting late, 4:30 almost. No problem, Monica. 4:30. News starts at 5 o'clock, 10 Tampa Bay. I'll be on there, of course. At the very latest, we're going to get a track update for 7. We may get an update that says it's Tropical Storm Fiona. Fiona is the next name on the list. And if so, we'll, of course, have the track and all of that for you coming up tonight at 5 o'clock. The latest one will also have the intensity forecast. Right now, it's 35-mile-per-hour winds somewhere near the Dominican Republic by Monday. So we'll see if that goes up or down, what the thinking is of the Hurricane Center. It's a little ways out in time with a system like this that has to take that track with that amount of shear and the question marks in the tail end of the forecasting period. So Yeah, just don't worry about this one right now. I'll let you know if you need to worry about it. If you have friends or family, or you're watching from the islands, from the Northeast Islands especially, you're going to have this first wave coming through tonight. You can see that there, but it's the second one, the one on the right, that's going to be moving through Friday night into Saturday. So I plan for heavy rain more than anything else, and there'll be some gusty winds in there in the 30s and 40s. But right now, that looks like that would be all that we would see out of it. So keep an eye on the forecast. Of course, now that we got something talking, I will be on here every day. Again, don't forget to follow me on my Facebook page, Bobby Deskins Weather, or YouTube, Bobby Deskins Weather. Have a good one, guys. See you at 5 o'clock on 10 Tampa Bay.